Hey guys, Helen Hartsmith here again with Friends. It's time to do another video where I share with you some examples of a particular stone and share with you maybe some history, maybe some science, and definitely some things that I magically do with them. So, any idea what we're going to be talking about today? It's quartz. Specifically clear quartz or crystal quartz. Some folks might even call it rock quartz. I tried to keep it strictly to quartz. I actually kind of was thinking that I would like to do a video where we talk about the different kinds of quartz, because there's a lot of different stones that belong to that family. So look for that in the future, or let me know if you're interested, because I'll definitely do that. So here we have the only piece that I included in this video that isn't strictly quartz is this piece. So why don't we just start here and I will show you this beautiful guy. This is a recent acquisition. This is quartz with hematite. I hope you can see that. And I hope I can keep things centered. So this is a really interesting kind of, it comes to a point. I hope that that's kind of coming through in the video. But it's fairly flat on this surface, and we've got a nice curve going on here, and everything comes up to a point. So it's a really interesting specimen with the hematite in there. Isn't that amazing? So this rock, this particular specimen, lives on a shelf here in our living room, and I like the fact that, let's kind of jump into some magical purposes. So hematite is really good for collecting negativity, and it will store it in there. It'll pull negative energy from its surrounding area and pack it in there. And once your hematite is full, you'll know because it'll break. And that's happened before. So, and then of course, now let's talk about quartz crystal. I use quartz as kind of like a jack of all trades when it comes to magic. It's really good for meditation. So if you're struggling with meditation or trying to deepen your practice, then maybe sit with some quartz in your hands or in a ring of quartz and see if that might help your experiences. It's connected with our crown chakra. And I also use it for healing purposes. It's very good for amplifying energy and amplifying healing. It is also a really good protection stone, and it purifies and cleanses. So it's really good for those purposes as far as your atmosphere, your room, your household, things like that. Is there anything else? Oh, it's actually really known for drawing out pain too. I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, so those are a majority of what I use it for. And I will also use it as if I don't have another stone on hand that I'm looking for a particular intent or what have you, then quartz is kind of like a go-to use for anything kind of a thing. So that's kind of nifty too. So I've kind of divided, excuse me, my quartz here into, I've got a little raw section here, and then I've got some towers, and I have a double terminated here, and then I've got some fun shapes, and that's kind of where I included the spheres and things like that. So we'll kind of like get into all of that as we talk more about quartz. So one interesting thing about quartz is that in the Middle Ages, apparently folks thought that quartz was petrified ice. I thought that was a really interesting idea for the ancient peoples. This is the largest quartz specimen that I have. I happened to pick it up in a bead store of all places. So we've got a fairly raw flat surface here. This is where the quartz formed and was probably, you know, broken off or what have you. And then it's kind of hard to tell, but we've got a fairly small point coming up here, and then a second crystal is growing here that has points here and here. This piece, so as I said, I picked it up in a bead store. In my labradorite video, when I did that, I talked about prices, and folks said that, yeah, I would like to know pricing and things like that, because there's definitely deals that can be had, and there's also you can pay too much, in my opinion, for stones. So I always kind of try to be aware of pricing and things like that. This particular piece I feel was a steal because I only paid $15 for this. And I have a feeling that it was only $15 because the point, let's see if I can kind of get it. So here's the actual point here. The point isn't very large. It isn't, you know, beautiful or perfect. You know, it's not like a point like this, which I'm fairly certain that this was probably created and that probably did not grow this way. But when I held this piece, I was like, yes, you want to come home with me. As when I purchase or look at purchasing any stone, I always ask, you know, would you like to come home with me? And such. So, and of course, there's a really great vibration that comes off this piece. So I really, really like this one. And again, $15 is a pretty good price. Let's see, I've got a couple of smaller points too. These are quite common to find. Let's see, it's hard to tell how clear that's coming. Oh, that looks pretty clear. So yeah, these are just a smaller, and I honestly don't remember where I picked these up. I probably paid about $2 to $3 for each of these. Ooh, sorry guys. And then this, these two are actually kind of like chunks of quartz that I picked up in a bin at one of my favorite rock stores called World of Rocks in Ypsilanti, Michigan. They have a bin, like as soon as you walk in the store, that has raw pieces like this, and they're basically like $1 or $1.50 a piece, or you can purchase a pound for $12. So I'm pretty sure that that's where I got these guys from. And they're just a rough, these are great pieces to pick up to use in crystal grid work and things like that. So, and this isn't even all of my quartz, but this is a good representation of what I have and what you can find out there. I want to share this because this was actually a really interesting buy for me. When I was getting into crystal grid work, I knew that that quartz would be a really important thing that I could use in crystal grid work. And so I actually bought, I don't remember like the weight of all of these, but it's this entire bag. The contents of this entire bag. I purchased this on Amazon, and it might have been something like a pound or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I only paid like $15 for all these little rough quartz points. And these are great for grid work, and that's why I bought them. And there's a few that I actually have working in a grid right now. So there's a few missing from the package, but I thought that $15 for that entire package, that was a really good price. And like I said, I got that on Amazon, and Amazon and eBay, you can really, if you want to bulk up the amounts of stones that you have in order to do crystal grid work, because sometimes some of the grids that I've seen, they use so many stones, like if you want to get really, really elaborate. And so you might find yourself needing 30 some points, because I think that's pretty close to what I ended up with in that particular purchase. And so now I feel like I'm confident if I wanted to do a really intricate grid that included quartz points, I have enough to do what I'm looking to do. And as I said, I believe I paid $15 for that. Great price. There's even some in there that if I wanted to do some wire wrapping and do something jewelry like, there's definitely some in there. Not all of them are perfect, but that's not what I bought them for. I bought them to be able to use in crystal grid work. So that's really that's a great buy. And like I said, look at Amazon, look at eBay, and you'll find like £1 or 5 pounds or what have you. And sometimes you can get things that are one stone, and sometimes you can get things that are a mix. So that's kind of fun too. So I've talked a little bit about how they form and things like that. So crystals form in a triangle shape. They're a three-sided generally, and so it's made up of a pure silicon oxide, and it forms in a triangle crystal. And they can one thing that I learned recently is that males will actually form with the point like this, and females have a smooth top. Now, I don't know that I have any smooth top quartzes, because I've always kind of gone, like if I wanted something with a point, generally if I want something, I want it with a point, so I go for a point. So now that I know that, I kind of want to keep an eye out and see, and kind of learn a little bit more about that and find out what's going on with that. The other rough piece that I really wanted to talk about is this particular piece. I bought this a number of years ago, and it's got its rough point, I guess. This is probably where it grew. I'm trying to get it. Yeah. So this is probably where it grew. And then this is the actual point. Oh, there we go. That's a pretty good angle. Still trying to figure out how to hold things, guys. So I've had this for a number of years. I actually got this at like a flea market for, I think it was right around $7. Again, just like that $15 chunker here. It's a steal, because I've seen pieces like this go in rock shows and rock stores for like $20 to $30. So this is a very special piece for me, because this is the crystal that I charge every midsummer. It's part of my coven's ritual that at midsummer you have a stone, preferably quartz, that you charge with the sun, because it's at the height of its power. And so you have that that charged crystal as you go into the dark part of the year. And so I'm filming this at the tail end of January, and so if I'm having like a day where I really am just kind of like, I feel myself lagging and stuff like that, I can actually take this and I can hold it. I would actually probably hold it like this so that the point is pointing towards me, and I can feel that vibration of the sun when it was at its strongest, and I can feel it coming into me right now. And so this is one that I use every year, and then I will store it on my altar, so it lives on my altar. So this is like one of my favorite stones that I own. Love that. So I've also picked up for crystal grid work actually these two towers. This is the first tower that I picked up, and this is kind of like the big boy. This is the this is what I call my focal stone when I do crystal grid work. This is a pretty chunky, oh, I see I've got my Made in Brazil sticker still on the bottom of this, but I wanted to give you an idea of kind of like his size and such. So this is what I use as a focal point to direct up the energy when I'm doing crystal grid work. And this isn't a perfectly clear quartz, as you can see. There are some, I believe they're called phantoms in the crystal there. But man, he had a really great energy when I purchased him. And so yes, he's a focal. And then I've got a backup focal. This is one that I found on a sale table at a local store. And again, this one's got some inclusions, phantoms. I'm still learning, you know, like the proper names or what have you. But this guy, like I said, he was on a sale table. I want to say he was like $15 or $20. I don't remember exactly. But then this bigger guy, he was $30. And I think that's a pretty fair price for a tower like that. And then of course I've got my double pointed. This is what I use to, oh, there's a word for it and I can't remember. This is what you use to get the crystal grid, like to initiate it basically. I think I'm using the wrong word. I mean, I know what I'm doing, but I don't remember the word. But yeah, you use a double pointed crystal to do that. I've got a couple of spheres here. This one is pretty clear. I don't see any inclusions or phantom. Oh, bring it in here, Helen. I don't see any inclusions or phantoms or anything like that. This I got a pretty good deal. I'm kind of a deal hunter. You know, I don't like to pay a lot, especially if I can find things for a really good price. This sphere was $15, and this one, I haven't actually put calipers on it, but it's probably a good 3 inches in diameter, and it came with the cute little stand too, so I kind of like that. And this is actually the first sphere that I ever purchased, and this is just a little sphere. I don't even remember where I got it or how much I paid for it, but it definitely has some phantoms or whatever you want to call it in that. And that's a smaller one. That's probably about 1.5 inches or 2 inches in diameter. Sorry if I keep bopping out of frame. I'm trying to look at it, look at the screen, and kind of keep aware. And then these are really fun. Again, I found these at World of Rocks. These are actually little arrowheads, and I'm sure they were mass produced. They're not like, you know, from an archaeology dig or anything like that, but they were just really cute. And I actually picked these up. I picked up a couple in quartz, couple in rose quartz, and a couple in amethyst too. So, and they were like $1.50 a piece. They're super cute. And I picked up some for my cousin's little girl who I've gotten into stones too. So these are just fun things that are fun to have in your collection. And you can totally use that in crystal grid work as well. And then I don't even know what I want to talk about first. Let's talk about Priscilla. So this is my very first crystal skull. I picked this up almost a year ago, and this is Priscilla. She's kind of my cohort in crime a lot. I will actually take her. She has a special place where I carry her on my person. Not every day. I've kind of given her a break recently, but she's definitely almost like a guide of sorts. I've really enjoyed having her work with me and build a relationship with me. And yes, that's Priscilla. Love her. Love you, Priscilla. And then finally, I've got this little piece here. This is actually a gift that I purchased for myself. A pretty quartz necklace pendant here. And it actually has a little secret compartment that I could put some poison or whatever in if I so want. It actually has like a little recess. You can see I can almost fit my entire nail down in there. That's how deep it is. It's quite deep. And it's really cool to like Let me see. Look down into it. Isn't that neat? Yeah, this is something that I purchased for myself a number of years ago. But one of my favorite jewelry pieces there. So yeah, so these are quartz. Let's see. There's definitely healing properties that are associated with quartz. I feel like I've talked more about stones, about the stones themselves, and not like how to use them. So you can actually, if you have pain, you can take a piece and you can hold it against wherever you're in pain, and it will help alleviate the pain there. So that's one way to use it. And you can also use it for fever reducing as well. Let's see. This stone is associated with Leo, Gemini, and Capricorn. So that's kind of nice to know. Buddhists use quartz to achieve enlightenment. And I think that has a lot to do with its meditative qualities. That's just my opinion. And of course, clairvoyants will use crystal balls for divination. So you can definitely use a crystal ball to stare into it and see, what do you see? What do you see in the crystal ball besides a reflection of my thumb? So that's something, that's definitely a form of divination that one can play with. So there you go. Here's quartz. I like quartz a lot. I like to use it a lot. And again, it comes back to its kind of all-purpose qualities. And so that makes it a really easy stone to use. I highly suggest that if you're getting into stones that you look at quartz because of its adaptability and its multiple uses. So I hope you liked this video. If you did like it, or if you learned something from it, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I love having you guys watching videos and leaving comments and things like that. Any of these intrigue you, or do you have something like that? Do you have quartz? What kind of quartz do you have? Things like that. And let me know if you'd like me to do a quartz comparison video. Something I've been thinking about and would love to kind of work on. So make sure you check out the links in the description box that has all of the social media links in there for Instagram, both for myself and for Kathy, and also for the Facebook page. Geez, words are not coming easily to me today. Sorry about that. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you like me to keep doing these, because I've got lots of stones that I'd love to share. So thanks for watching, and thanks for taking the time to walk the path for a little while with me. Until next time, blessed be.